Hello, and welcome to the BSI family. I'm Alex Esparza, co-founder and co-owner of Battery Services International. The video you're about to watch will present you with a ton of information on the proper usage of the X-Charger, as well as inform you about the kit included with the machine. It will go over the entire process of recovering dead and desulfated batteries, and after watching the video, you'll know exactly how to use the remarkable technology that you have in your hands. So now I'll let your guide take you through the process and show you just what you need to know to run a successful business.
The topics to be covered in this video are the following. 1. The X-Charger kit in your workplace. 2. The power recovery process, which further consists of A. Screening batteries, B. Regen, C. Charging, and D. Branding. So let's begin with part 1, the X-Charger kit. The X-Charger is a state-of-the-art machine that is capable of fully recovering the lost potential of lead-acid batteries, including flooded, vented, gel, AGM, VRI, cranking automotive, deep cycle, and even sealed batteries. The machine requires a 220 volt outlet and 60 amp breakers. The dial to turn on the machine is located on the side, and the buttons on the face of the machine are used to navigate the menu. There are 8 settings on the X-Charger. The first is Regen, which is done to prepare automotive batteries for their charge. Deep Regen does the same thing, but it is used for deep cycle batteries. The automotive setting is used to revive cranking batteries, and Deep Cycle is to revive deep cycle batteries. Next is the custom charge setting, to control the amperage of a charge, followed by the boost charge setting, which is done to raise the specific gravity of batteries after a charge, and to replenish batteries that have been discharged because they have been sitting for extended periods of time. After that is the specialty setting, which is employed to revive AGM, gel, and small batteries. As amazing as the X-Charger machine is, it is vital to remember that importance must also be attached to the Power Plus additive. This incredible liquid is a major component in the desulfation of batteries, and without it, battery reconditioning is impossible. Power Plus is an eco-friendly compound that will not harm you or the environment. Also included in your kit are the following tools. The battery analyzer, which measures the condition of automotive batteries in cranking amps. The black load tester is a 100 amp tester for use with car batteries. The blue load tester is a 500 amp carbon pile tester for use with deep cycle batteries and truck batteries like 4D and 8D. Both testers determine the condition of batteries by measuring the voltage. The hydrometer measures the specific gravity of the battery's electrolyte. 3 are included. The clamp amp meter measures voltage and amp in AC and DC modes. The half-inch drill bit is ideal for making openings on sealed batteries. In the middle is a stop collar, which is attached to the drill bit to make holes. The flange caps are for resealing the holes. Safety attire, including gloves, masks, and goggles for protection against hazards, are also included and should always be used. Also keep in mind that workers should wear polyester clothing and not cotton, as cotton attire will suffer damage from the gases that are released from the batteries. Finally, the manual. For in-depth information on the machine and the reconditioning process, please refer to this text. Also, keep in mind that personal technical assistance is offered by the BSI team for a period of 6 months following your purchase. The perfect workshop for battery reconditioning is one that is spacious and has abundant tables, ideally at about waist height. Having wooden pallets in your workshop is also recommended, along with a proper ventilation system for the fumes from charging batteries. Finally, you should have electrical outputs for 220 volts and 60 amp breakers to run the machine. Now that we've gone over what's included in the X-Charger kit and the ideal workshop, let's discuss the reconditioning process. The first part of this process is the screening of batteries, which is done to separate the batteries with internal breakage or mechanical damage from the batteries that can be reconditioned. There are 3 steps in the screening process: visual inspection, load test, and specific gravity test. To visually inspect the battery, simply examine it and search for clues to mechanical damage, such as cracks, leaks, bulges, damaged post terminals, and electrolyte quantity. A battery that is free from visual damage but whose plates are visible inside the cell or is completely dry will need electrolyte added. A battery whose cells are like the one pictured is flooded and has too much electrolyte. The ideal quantity is in between, as seen here. To make electrolyte, you will need distilled water and 93% pure electrolyte-grade sulfuric acid, which can be obtained at your local chemical supply company. Have a 5-gallon electrolyte container ready. Electrolyte is 65% distilled water and 35% sulfuric acid, so pour in 3¼ gallons of distilled water into the container. Now with all your safety gear on and with extreme care, pour in 1¾ gallons of sulfuric acid into the container. Always pour sulfuric acid into the water, so that if there is a splash, it is water that falls on you and not acid. After you mix the solution, read the specific gravity with your hydrometer. It should read 1,265 points. After the reading, let the electrolyte sit for 2 hours so that it can cool. To see if a sealed battery needs electrolyte, ready yourself for drilling holes in the battery. Before making holes in a sealed battery, remove any obstructive labels. Look closely at the top of the battery to pinpoint the location of the cells. Mark the spots where you will be making the holes. Now mount the drill bit with the stop collar in place and drill in all the holes on the battery. Use the flange caps to cover the holes when needed. Another important thing to look for is the sticker that shows the battery's age. To learn the age of the battery, find the sticker that has a letter and a number. The letter represents the month in which the battery was manufactured, and it corresponds numerically to the month. That is, A, the first letter of the alphabet, corresponds to January, the first month of the year. B corresponds to February, C to March, and so on. The number after the letter on the sticker is simply the final digit of the year in which the battery was manufactured. 9 is for 2009, 0 is for 2010, etc. So a battery that reads G0 was made in July of 2010. BSI recommends that you avoid working with batteries that are older than 3 years, as there is a high chance of encountering mechanical failure with batteries of this age. Instead, make some money by recycling batteries that are older than 3 years. If a battery seems to be free of mechanical damage after a visual inspection, then proceed to perform a load test. You need to use the 100 amp load tester with car batteries and the 500 amp load tester with deep cycle batteries and cranking amp batteries of more than 700 cranking amps. Please refer to the instruction manual on page 39 for more information. Have your battery ready to be tested and then connect the red clamp to the positive terminal and the black clamp to the negative terminal. Ensure that all the caps are removed because you will be looking into the cells. Press and hold the switch to pull power from the battery and look into the cells one by one. A battery fails the load test if you see bubbling, boiling, smoking, or if you hear a cracking noise that sounds like electrical interference. So recycle the battery. Ensure that you don't have the button held down for longer than 20 seconds. If you do not see any bubbling, boiling, smoking, and do not hear the cracking sound while pulling a charge, then the battery has passed the load test and you may proceed to measure the specific gravity. The tool you will be using to measure the specific gravity is the hydrometer. To use the hydrometer, squeeze the pump completely and then submerge the ends of the tube into the first cell. Once submerged, release the pump so that the hydrometer absorbs the liquid. Verify that the hydrometer is filled up completely for an accurate reading and hold it vertically for proper measurement. Repeat this step for all subsequent cells. A battery passes the test if all the cells have a specific gravity within 100 points of each other. It doesn't matter if they are all in the red zone of the hydrometer or if they all read in the water section, as long as they're within the same range. If one cell is 100 points above or below the other cells, then the battery is bad. When a battery passes the visual inspection, load test, and specific gravity test, it can then be put through the regen process and sent on to the road of recovery. The regen process prepares the battery for charging. The first thing to be done is to connect the red cable to the positive terminal and the black cable to the negative terminal. Batteries are done one at a time during the regen process. Now turn on the machine and select the regen screen if the battery is an automotive one. If the battery is deep cycle, then select the deep regen screen. Select the voltage of the battery, in this case 12 volts, then hit enter. Wait for the beeping sound, which should take at least 15 seconds and at most 5 minutes. When you hear the beeping sound, then the battery has passed regen. It is recommended that you put each battery through the regen process twice, so repeat the regen process on the battery. As a side note, keep in mind that at times you will see a screen that says check connections. This screen comes up when the clamps aren't making good contact with the post terminals. Tighten the connection and then re-hit enter. Perform the regen on the remaining batteries and then continue on to the next stage, which is charging. This is the step where the batteries make the recovery, and it is composed of making the series circuit connection, activating the X charger, adding power plus, and X charger supervision. Before you begin to check the batteries, keep in mind the arrangement you should have. The batteries should be placed so that, regardless of voltage or brand, the positive poles are to the left and the negative poles are to the right of the worker for all the batteries, as you can see in the image. This will make connecting the batteries much easier. This is what the batteries look like when they are successfully connected in series. In essence, the batteries are chained together from first to last. To connect the batteries like this, start off by taking the black master clamp from the X charger and then connecting it to the negative terminal of the last battery. Now take the red master clamp from the machine and connect it to the positive terminal of the very first battery. After the machine is connected to the first and last battery, take one of the individual clamp cables and connect the red end to the positive post of the very last battery, and then connect the black clamp to the negative post of the next battery. Take another cable and connect the red end to the positive post of the following battery and the black end to the negative post of the subsequent battery. Continue in this fashion until all of the batteries are directly connected. The last step before activating the machine is to look closely at all the terminals and ensure the batteries are properly connected. Now that the batteries are ready to be charged, go to the X charger and select the proper function. Automotive if you are charging cranking batteries, or deep cycle if you are charging deep cycle batteries. Set the time for 20 to 24 hours and then press enter to complete the machine activation. Keep in mind that batteries of different voltages can be put in the same charge as long as they are all of the same type, that is, either cranking or deep cycle. For this next step, you'll need to wait until the batteries have been charging for 30 minutes. Regard the X charger's interface 30 minutes after you activated the charge to confirm the elapsed time. At this point, take some Power Plus additive from the large container and pour some into an ample receptacle. Fill the hydrometer to the 1300 mark, which is equal to 15 milliliters or 1/2 of an ounce. Introduce the Power Plus into each cell of each battery. If the batteries are cranking, then 1 serving of the hydrometer is enough. Deep cycle batteries, however, need 2 servings of Power Plus from the hydrometer per cell. Remember that this step is absolutely vital, and without the addition of Power Plus into the cells of the battery, you will not revive anything. So be sure you dispense Power Plus into each cell and then proceed. Check on the X charger machine every couple of hours to verify that the charging process is going smoothly. Look at the CB trip light to see if the breaker needs to be switched. Newer models of the X charger have the breaker switch outside, on the body of the machine. Use the clamp amp meter to ensure the X charger's electrical output is stable. On automotive charge, the meter should read between 6 and 7. On deep cycle, between 11 and 13. After the 24 hours have elapsed, disconnect the cables. Now we're going to prove that the batteries have recovered their lost power and make them presentable. The branding stage is made up of 5 brief steps. Like in the screening stage, another load test and SG test need to be made. The other steps are done to beautify the battery, and they consist of cleaning, painting, and labeling the battery. The load test you will now perform is quite different from the load test done in the screening stage. For automotive batteries, you will use the battery analyzer. For deep cycle batteries, you still need to connect the carbon pile load tester directly to a battery by connecting the red clamp to the positive post and the black clamp to the negative post. Before you press and hold the switch, turn your eyes to the needle inside the display. The needle should be close to the voltage of the battery, so a 12-volt battery should read close to 12 volts on the display. You will often see the needle slightly above its voltage. This is normal. Now press and hold the switch for 5 to 10 seconds and note the change in the needle. A 12-volt battery should drop to at most 10 volts on the display. This graph explains how to determine if a battery passes the load test. If a 12-volt battery falls below 9.7 volts, then the battery has at least one bad cell and needs to be recycled. If it is between 9.7 volts and 10, then measure the specific gravity of the cells, charge the battery for an additional 10 hours, and then repeat the load test. If it reads at 10 or above, it passes the test. For specifics on the passing performance of batteries of different voltages and other detailed information, go to the load test chapter on page 39 of the manual. The next part of the branding stage is the specific gravity test. Use your hydrometer to measure the electrolyte in each cell. Anything above 1,265 points passes the test, including those that surpass 1,300 points. If all your batteries are above 1,265 points and pass the load test, then you have just successfully recovered the lost power of a battery. Connect the batteries in series one last time and charge them for 2 to 3 hours on custom charge to make up for the energy drained during the load test. If a battery has even one cell below 1,265 points, then repeat the load test done before to ensure whether the battery is passing or not. If the battery fails the load test, then recycle it, because it has a bad cell. However, if the battery continues to pass the load test in spite of low specific gravity, then connect it to be charged for 5 to 10 more hours. If after the 5 to 10 hour charge, the battery still passes the load test but fails the specific gravity test, then recycle it. Now that your batteries are good and charged, it is time to make them presentable to your customer. Once the final 2 to 3 hour custom charge is complete, disconnect all of the batteries. Quickly glance inside of the battery cells and look for excess electrolyte. Remember what was covered earlier. The proper amount of electrolyte is above the internal plates, yet below the narrow tubing. Now you need to remove the brand labels and stickers on the battery. The best way to do this is with the use of a heat gun and a scraper, although it can also be done with water pressure. Point and fire the heat gun at the sticker so that it begins to peel off, and then use the scraper to finish the job. After all the stickers and labels are removed, give the battery a rinse with water and remove any dirt, label adhesive, or any grime you find on the battery. You can also use a chemical solvent like alcohol or paint thinner to remove the adhesive from the battery walls. After washing, thoroughly dry the battery. Polish the terminals with the brushes included in the kit. Remove the metal to prepare the battery for painting. Before you paint the battery, recap all the cells so that the paint does not enter the batteries. Using a spray can, paint the battery from the bottom up. Do not hold the can too close to the battery because the paint will leave drip marks. Give all the sides an even coat and then paint the top, like so. Do not get any paint onto the terminal posts. Put the battery in a place where it may dry, paint the other batteries, and then, once the paint has settled, add the label. Take a sticker and poke holes in it to mark the length of the guarantee, and then apply the sticker to the battery. Try to paste the sticker in the center of the battery, and apply it so that there are no air bubbles. You can make labels on a local printing company. Feel free to call us to provide you with technical assistance about battery labels. This marks the completion of the power recovery process, and just look at the difference. We started off with dead, dirty batteries and ended up with fantastic, fully charged instruments of power.
That pretty much covers the essential information about the technology and the power recovery process. If for some reason a certain aspect of the video remained unclear, then contact myself, my partner Juan Rosado, or the manual. We want you to have a successful business, and we're all too happy to help you in any way. We wish you the best of luck in your journey, and remember, we're here to help.